Hello, everybody. How is it going? It is Simon here from Get Into Crypto, and I wanted to give a quick update on the market because things are starting to move very, very quickly right now. And you'll see in front of you that on today's price action, Bitcoin has actually come down back off again. And we're basically sort of, if we go into the weekly chart, we can see we're pretty much fighting with these moving averages right now. We're literally resting on the 200-week moving average. And obviously, we've still got a few more days left until the end of the week. So a lot could change from here. But I think this will really be the battle for the rest of the week. I wouldn't personally want to see Bitcoin coming down and closing any lower than 26,000. I think closes down here will really open up the door for a push further lower to around about 24,000, which is what we've talked about in the last couple of videos. Obviously, if we can hold these levels and start to push up again and kind of sort of reclaim this 27,200, if we can push up from there, then it will look a lot more likely that on the fourth test of this bull flag that we might actually get the breakout that we've been looking for. And obviously, the more times we push into this level and test it, the weaker this resistance should become, and we should eventually get our breakout through there. Obviously, we've only got 2 touches here, but we've got 3 touches, so a 4 touch on the resistance of this channel hopefully will break out. But yeah, that was it on the Bitcoin price. And what I really wanted to talk to you today about was the situation with altcoins, because obviously the SEC have come out and they've made 13 charges against Binance and I believe 4 against Coinbase. And obviously within their charges to both Binance and Coinbase, there are a certain number of altcoins that they have deemed to be securities. Now, that's not to say that Congress will agree with them in the classification and agree that these must be ruled and regulated as securities. However, it does put some doubt over the coins that they've currently come out with. I should personally also add that I don't feel it means that other cryptocurrencies are necessarily immune from being classed as securities. We've all seen, or a lot of us have seen, what happened with Algorand, and Gensler actually coming out and almost pushing, supporting, promoting Algorand, only for a few years later to come out and actually class it as a security. So yeah, it's very it's very uncertain right now in terms of what the SEC will do, but ultimately it will likely be a decision that eventually gets made in Congress as to how to regulate. So this tweet from Kevin Svensson actually sums it up fairly well. Coinbase: hello, we'd like to comply with your rules. What are the rules? SEC, no comment. And then Coinbase: oh, okay then. And then SEC, we're suing you for not following the rules. So it just really sums up the approach of the SEC. No clarity, no guidance whatsoever as to what is and what isn't a security, just to come out after saying nothing to then start slapping lawsuits on firms, which I think is very, very bad practice. And clearly, I think most other people in crypto do not agree with the actions of the SEC to cause crypto firms. And you can't really say that it's helping the industry at all. And I think that is probably the motive of the SEC is to rather hinder the industry as opposed to embrace it and promote the innovation that the monetary system desperately needs. So another tweet here is just showing those cryptocurrencies listed as securities by the SEC, so we can see that we've got several top names here. Some of these, or many of these, I actually hold myself: BNB, ADA, Sol, Matic, Atom, Nia, tiny bit of, I might have a tiny bit of flow somewhere, but I think those are the main ones that I'm holding myself. And what am I doing? I'm deciding to. I'm taking the kind of wait and see approach at the moment. I don't think we should be rushing out and panic selling our crypto bags based on the charges filed by the SEC. But at the same time, I don't think we should necessarily be expecting this to blow over so quickly. It feels like potentially we could go into a period of long drawn out litigation, with the Ripple and XRP case being an example. And we obviously know how the Ripple lawsuit has affected the price of XRP. Obviously, it didn't really have any sort of bull run during the last crypto bull cycle, and it would be a shame if obviously these coins suffer a similar fate. That's not to say they can't do well, but obviously that's gonna be a big big cloud over the head of some of these crypto names. So I'm not saying avoid them, and in fact, in today's video, I do actually want to cover some of the coins that I am accumulating, and one of them is actually on this list. So let's take a look. So the first coin I am going to call in terms of one that I'm accumulating for the next bull run is Solana. Solana is one of these cryptos that it has a great community. I mean, living in Lisbon myself, I've seen Solana Breakpoint. I've seen the hacker houses. I've seen the city literally get taken over by Solana people, and Solana hackers and things and devs and what have you. And yeah, there's a huge community there. The Solana community is very, very strong. The network's very, very fast. Obviously, daily active users is the largest of any blockchain according to this data, which was fairly recent, 18th of May. So Solana is a token that I think we should be paying attention to. I don't know personally if it's the ETH killer that everybody says it is, but for example, Ethereum is my largest altcoin holding. I'm quite happy it is. I think it is probably the strongest out of all the altcoins, but I do want to hedge against that, and Solana is my preferred hedge. It's also on Rust. I think it was Elon that recently tweeted out something about Rust. So this is the programming language used on Solana and a couple of others. It's also got the Solana phone, the Solana sneakers. So look, there's lots of innovation. There's a lot of products that the Solana team have, and look, I think their vision is to transform Web3, and not only that, but transform sort of digital payments, mobile interoperability, and really, yeah, they have very, very ambitious plans to almost be the Apple. I think they've said the Apple of money, of digital currency and digital finance and Web3. So yeah, that's how they're looking to position themselves. And yeah, I think despite all of the concerns from the SEC lawsuits and charges being made, I think that Solana is still a token that I would like to position into off the back of some of this FUD. So if we just go over and have a quick look at the Solana chart, we can see that Solana's been hit pretty hard over the last couple of days. I mean, we are down about 14%. And also Solana is one of those tokens that hasn't really recovered much after the FTX collapse. So obviously FTX collapse happening at the start of November, Solana really tanked. I mean, literally nosedived. So, you know, you're talking about 75% loss at the end of last year within the space of a week. And, you know, the market initially recovered a lot of that, kind of got back to its lows pre-FTX collapse, but hasn't been able to push on past those. And I think what we're looking to see now is some sort of consolidation in a range, which is a range that we'd be able to accumulate in. So I have been, I did manage to pick some up down here. I've also been accumulating a bit over the last months with just really DCA approach. So I do think if Solana does break this range to the downside, you have to ask yourself, what is the risk? How much further can Solana fall? For me, the low of the Solana price is most likely to be in at the end of last year here after the FTX collapse. I don't think that the news can get any worse than that. So I would be personally happy to pick some Solana up on any breakdown, with the view that they will likely turn the situation around. They will likely be successful in defending themselves as a crypto token, and not as a security. But of course, we will have to see how that all plays out for Solana. So a bit of a nervous time if you are a holder of Solana, if you've got a big Solana position. But at the same time, I think there is opportunity to be had if lower prices do come. And another chart I like to look at is the Sol BTC, or is any altcoin against BTC. I think we always need to be very mindful of the opportunity cost of holding any altcoin. So is it better to have our money in Bitcoin, or is it better to have our money in altcoins? We can kind of see that from really the late part of 2021, you would have been best off selling your soul, going into Bitcoin. Well, even better, going into stable coins or fiat. But yeah, if you're playing the crypto rotation, I guess, then that would have been the ideal time to swap your Solana to Bitcoin and stables. And obviously we've seen the price fall dramatically since then. I mean, if we just look, and bearing in mind this is sort of Bitcoin chart, but we're talking about nearly 90% down against Bitcoin, let alone against fiat and the dollar. So yeah, I do think a retest of this low versus Bitcoin is probably possible, especially if Bitcoin starts to turn around and we see some of the altcoins start to lag, which is definitely possible this year. This year should really be a year that Bitcoin is strong, starts to recover first, and then paves the way for the altcoins to then start to turn around. So I would not be surprised if Solana does come down here, and that would be a level I'd be very interested in probably accumulating some more, either with fiat or swapping some Bitcoin over to Solana. And we would look to see this low holding, hopefully, before Solana then would look to recover against the dollar and against its Bitcoin price. So that's Solana. The next one I have on my list is Avalanche. So Avalanche is an interesting one. It's not actually been named in the list here, thankfully, from the SEC. So that's something that is fairly positive as things stand. And the great thing about Avalanche is that with Avalanche, they basically have these things called subnets. So if you are looking to go onto the blockchain and you want to basically use a blockchain without suffering from congestion or lagging, Avalanche are able to provide you with your own subnet. So this is something that is really relevant to gaming and games, because obviously they need the speed and they don't want to be getting bogged down by transactions from other protocols. So they can essentially have their own blockchain, which is going to be a subnet. So you can see here with the pin tweet, this top tweet here, launch your own subnet just got easier. So you've got Ava Cloud, and this is from Ava Labs. So look, I mean, this is really interesting stuff. Avalanche do seem to be paving the way. They've got some really nice technology, and I think they are a really, really top layer one. And we can see that similar to Solana, they've been underperforming, very underwhelming price action since the lows. Really, they've never really managed to sort of do anything on a bullish side in terms of price picking up. And to be honest, they literally retraced the whole move from mid 2021 all the way back down again. So literally the price has fully reset. And I expect Avalanche to do well and eventually get back to the prices it was at, back towards the peak of the last bull market. So Avalanche is definitely one that I'm interested in accumulating down here as we get closer to the low. And let's hope that that low does hold. And we can actually see against Bitcoin, Avalanche is now actually making new lows from its lows made in 2022. So Avalanche really came down very hard, looked to mount a recovery, and then it's just been slowly bleeding. So will we get back down to its levels as it's done against fiat from mid 2021? That is definitely something that would be possible. And that would be, I guess, the next major level that I'd be interested in buying. I mean, if we just sort of pick up the chart, we can see that's nearly another 40% lower than where we currently are. That's in Bitcoin value. So again, if Bitcoin does pick up and Avalanche lags, then we could see price is start to come down to these levels, and I think that would be a nice point to accumulate. I think if we lose that, we're looking at coming down a lot lower. But I don't think that's likely. I think altcoins do turn around this year, and Avalanche is definitely one of those altcoins that I am interested in picking more up from. So let's see if we can look at the next one. So the next one is Fantom. So this is one of my favorite projects for DeFi. There's a lot going on with Fantom in terms of what has been built. Andre Cronje has come back. He's one of the, I think, the legends in the DeFi space in terms of, you know, creating great protocols and great products. So yeah, things are looking good for Fantom. They've come out with some new, you can see here, new incentives to build apps on Fantom. And I know that they were talking about giving a number of the sort of tokens back to people, back to projects that are starting up. That they basically come up with a new incentive program to fund development, which is good to see. And yeah, we can go over to the chart as well. I know that Fantom has had a bit of a bumpy ride too. It's another one that really got smashed at the start of 2022. I know that quite well because I was still involved with it, and yeah, we were looking at nearly 95% drop from the all-time high. A lot of that was to do with Andre leaving, and I think people were concerned that Fantom would just end up being a bit of a ghost chain and a bit of a dead project. And we've actually seen that Andre's come back. The team have come out with a roadmap. They've got runway, I think they said, for the next 25 or 30 years. So there's plenty of funding. There's plenty of backing there for Fantom. And yeah, we saw a pretty nice move at the start of the year. In fact, very nice move. I think Fantom literally did more than a 2x, yeah, 270% move. And since then we started to come down, but this was quite impulsive. This has been quite corrective. Obviously, we are starting to bleed a bit now, but I do feel that turnaround in the price of Fantom is pretty much imminent, and it's definitely one that I'm personally looking to pick up. And we're actually coming down to some support now, which is the top of this accumulation range that we had at the end of last year. And personally, I would be looking for that to hold as support, and for the price of Fantom to start to turn around. We can probably look at this pullback as well by just throwing on a fib retracement, and we can see that we're coming down to this 7 86 at 27.7 cents. So that could be a level that gets tagged. And then we might see Fantom start to turn around from there. And similar on a Bitcoin chart, we can see that we're coming in, approaching our low from the middle of last year. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get some support around that area, and as with the other cryptos we've looked at, to see whether we can climb on up. And yeah, I think the great thing about trading altcoins against Bitcoin is, like I say, you want to make sure that you have your capital behind the project that is performing best at any one time. Obviously, the play has been to be in Bitcoin for the majority of the last year and a half. However, if this does bottom out and start to turn around, then obviously it would make sense to allocate some Bitcoin into a project like Fantom. I mean, you can kind of see here, if we do come down to the support, just as an example, you can kind of see you're looking at nearly a sort of 850% move back to its all-time highs against Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying that any of these projects will get back to their all-time highs against Bitcoin, but you would certainly think that when retail comes back into the market, when Bitcoin pushes up, goes through its halving, and we start to see some of those Bitcoin fly into other projects, you would think that projects such as Fantom could definitely benefit from that. And I mean, even if we just get back up to the 618, I mean, we're still looking at over a 500% return against Bitcoin. So, yeah, this is something that I'm definitely keeping my eyes on, and I will be looking to accumulate as we start to come down lower to the bottom of this range here. And I do like to actually trade altcoins against Bitcoin in ranges, really. I mean, if Fantom can establish a range, maybe it becomes sort of this range here between like the swing high and the swing low. And I mean, just to give you an idea of how wide that range is, you know, you're looking at about 240% range. So that's plenty of opportunity there to be able to flip some Bitcoin and make some nice profits just playing that range. So yeah, that's the update on Fantom. The next one is Gala Games. So now going on to more of the metaverse and gaming theme, Gala Games is basically a games producer. They have a range of games that they're producing and putting out there. So I think rather than just committing to one game, at least with Gala, you've got a number of games that are being launched. And, you know, they've got sort of Gala music, they've got Gala film. They really are trying to be the front runner in the entertainment space when it comes to Web3. And a little bit like Fantom, we saw some very encouraging signs for Gala at the end of last year. So I'm actually just going to put this on the daily, just because the price has come off so much that it's a little bit easier to visualize. But we can kind of see here that, you know, Gala went on a massive run, like nearly 300%. And it's since come down and started to, well, it's retraced now most of that move. So if we get our fib retracement tool, we can actually see that Gala's down to its 783 retracement here. So I would definitely think that this would be an area of interest for Gala Games. I'm personally, like I say, bullish on this project long term. So yeah, I do think that the price is likely to go sort of sideways up until a point when we start to see a bit more hype and activity coming back into the crypto market, likely to be next year. And then I do expect Gala to do very well in the next cycle. So Gala could definitely be a project that really takes off, and we see some fantastic gains from. And like I say, prices seem to be stabilized. They seem to be in this range of accumulation right now. And I definitely want to be taking advantage of lower prices as and when they come. So yes, Gala is another one that I am very fond of, and we can see it's actually already testing its lows now against Bitcoin. So like I say, some areas of interest here on Gala. Let's see what it can do. And the fifth and final altcoin I want to cover today is Wilder World. So this is also on the metaverse theme. Wilder World is actually a metaverse. You'll see here metaverse powered by Wild, which is its native token. And from those people involved in sort of gaming and the metaverse, I have had feedback that Wilder World is the best metaverse experience right now that is out there. Certainly seems to be sort of gaining a lot of positive attention and feedback from the experts in the metaverse space. So we can see here that price has actually performed fairly well over the last couple of weeks. We started to sort of push up off our lows. We're actually going through a pullback right now. So this is a pullback that I am looking to buy. I actually bought some yesterday. I'll probably accumulate more if we do actually sort of come back down to the lower part of this range. And yeah, I would expect Wilder World to be a token that does very well over the next couple of years. I think we could definitely get back up to all-time highs on this one over the next sort of 2-3 years. And yeah, we can see in terms of against Bitcoin, unfortunately, we don't have the full price history on this chart, but we can see that we actually sort of had a low in the middle of last year, and then this was actually a higher low for price coming a few weeks ago, about a month ago, in the middle of May, and since then we've started to rip to the upside. So there's definitely interest in Wilder World, and I would hope that we'd be able to hold this low, put in potentially another higher low, and price from there might start to recover a little bit ahead of maybe some of the other coins I've looked at. But certainly this is a project with a lot of potential, and one that I am looking to accumulate as a 1 to 2 year hold. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. Obviously, all eyes at the moment are on this Bitcoin price to see what it does. Just to kind of recap where we are, we don't really want to see closes below 26,000. If we can hold this 26,000 level and start to push back up and take out the 27,000 resistance, then I think there's a good chance we can attack this descending trend line. And if that breaks and we get a proper breakout, then again, targets remain as before, moves up to the mid 30s. So I'll really be targeting around 36 upon sort of clearing this MA here, which I believe is the 100s MA. Let's just confirm that. Yes, it is. So a 100-week MA. Hopefully we could get up to around 36 and then potentially targets higher. Obviously, if we lose this and come down, then as I've said before, I am initially targeting 24,000, maybe down to as low as 23,000, and I expect to see a reaction there. And that is a place that I'd probably be looking to make my next buys in terms of Bitcoin, but also at these levels, I would be looking to accumulate the altcoins that I've talked about today. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have found this video useful and helpful, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.